And I want to first thank Dr. Klaas and Doris and Jose for the invitation to be participating in this conference. And this is not only good manners, because I really should say that I have to thank them for not disinviting me to this conference. Because, as I said before, I was invited as a member of the Chilean Constitutional Convention, a convention which was supposed to make deep changes in our country, replacing, after 42 years, the constitution established by the dictatorship of General Augusto Pinochet. We began full of hope. We were the most, I believe, the most democratic institution in our history. We were 50% women. The majority of the members were independent. And we had 12% of indigenous members. However, on September 4th, a referendum not only rejected the draft, but we were beaten by more than 20 points difference, with 62% of the people voting against our proposal. This was really unpredictable and astonishing, and honestly, a bit humiliating. Less than 2 years earlier, in October 2020, 78% of the people voted for a new constitution after an unexpected and widespread social outbreak which took place in 2019. The reason for this disaster, even though now I know that Miles Davis says they are not disasters or nothing like that, but the reason of what happened are as many as the number of experts and analysts that are studying the process. Let me just mention 5 of them. First of all, we have to acknowledge our own mistakes as members of the convention. Second, the role of conservative parties who are comfortable with the current constitution and were decided to make the convention fail. Third, millionaire expenses used to spread fake news, not only on social networks, but also on the media. In Chile, all the big media are extremely conservative. I must say, the sources of many of the fake news were not anonymous bots, but opinion leaders from Congress and business association. Fourth, the growing fear of the people facing several and deep reforms in the middle of an unstable economy and with a new left-wing government whose popularity was decreasing. Fifth, the so-called radical nature of the proposal on subjects like indigenous rights or the right on abortion. I could go on for a long time with different reasons. Probably all of these topics are real and in some dimension, and each of them should be examined in detail. However, what happened with our referendum is only an example of the big challenges that democracies deal with globally to undergo social and political reform. As James Robinson said this morning, democracy is a complex issue. I believe what is underneath of most of our democratic difficulty is the educational system. Chile has been the first and main laboratory for neoliberalism. We thought it would be also its dead. We were wrong, as already said. For more than 40 years, we have been told to venerate free market in all areas of society, including social security, health, and education. We have learned the false idea that anyone can be successful by itself. We have been told that to succeed, we don't need anything else but our own effort. Support from the state, community, or even our friends are just the fantasy of a leftist ideology. It all depends on ourselves. The result of this is what Dr. Fawaz Habad saw in Maipú in Chile. Those sad pictures he showed about our neighborhood over there. Chile is not an exception. I am well aware that this is a global culture. It is a culture that fits easily in the digital world and the postmodern times we are living in. This kind of social interaction is the result of multiple factors, but in Chile, our educational system had a leading role. School is essential to develop an active and critical citizenship. We all know that school we should learn how to live with others, to appreciate diversity, to respect and be aware of other people's needs, to develop empathy, respect, and cooperation. All these attitudes and principles are crucial for a democratic and peaceful society. During the last 4 decades, our public school system was included in the market education. This meant education no longer focused on society, but on development of each individual. Public education dropped from 80% of the students to the current 36%, the smallest in the world. This is because we created special private schools that get a similar funding for each student than public schools. And additionally, those parents used to pay on top of the public funding. As a result, our school system is one of the most segregated in the world, creating a division between groups depending on their family incomes, and structuring a very divided society, afraid of anyone that doesn't belong to your own small and homogeneous group. Public and private schooling compete to their student. That is, more students, more money. For the last 4 decades, our school system has focused on competition instead of collaboration, on the idea of your own hard work instead of cooperation, the false assumption of meritocracy. Schools compete through standardized tests that primarily measure language and mathematics. The teaching to the test culture became, as you may also know here in the United States, a sad reality. Focuses on the arts and the humanities was not a good business. It became a waste of time. Art and humanities are not considered on the core of a quality education system. They are only decorative subjects. However, those same standardized tests show our education has not succeeded. Even the best private institutions have poor results compared to school in other countries when we analyze international tests like PISA. Other statistics are equally concerning. 1/3 of the 8th grade students believe that violence is a legitimate way to get what we want. And 66% agree that people can make justice by their own hands against criminals. Our educational system is creating good low-income workers, but very poor citizens. If we want to build a democratic society with engaged and critical citizens, a society with a new social contract, education is fundamental. But education cannot focus on basic reading and the 4 math operations. Education must give arts and humanities a relevant position. Democracy, meaning freedom, fairness, and respect for human rights, is a pretty new political idea in human history. We live in difficult times, sad to say, but democracy seems weakly in many countries. We thought democracy was strong and everlasting. We need to develop citizens who are aware of their society and worried about everybody's well-being. Education is the backbone of society. As I said before, this problem is not unique to Chile. 2/3 of young Americans under 40 don't know what the Holocaust really was. And 11% think it was caused by the Jews. We must retrieve the relevance of art and humanities to develop complete human beings. As Juan Maqueira said, using our mind, our hands, our heart. We collect what we plant. Happiness, or at least a better life, is linked to fantasy and hope. Art and humanities are essential. Thank you very much.